facts. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, welcome to Daily Trudge. I am Dion. Yep, that's my name. You may wear it out. You may. Just got done with therapy. Yay for therapy. I almost always go live after therapy. They're usually my best ones because I'm actually clear-headed. I don't have any other bullshit. So, but hopefully it's not the last time my Medicaid might be cut. Well, it is cut. It been cut. My Medicaid been cut. We're trying to fix that though. Yeah. They tend to think we make more money than we actually do. What they're doing is they're actually combining everybody's income in the house for my wife and I's income. Now, two of my kids live upstairs. One is my stepdaughter. The other one is my biological son. They are married. They have a child. If you have a problem with it, it's your problem because I ain't got a problem with it. I'm glad they're together, actually. They make a good couple. Couple of dorks. All right, but they're adult children. They pay their own rent. They pay their own bills. They got their own cars. They keep combining our stuff. So, but we're going to do a random recovery reading, which means we're not necessarily going to be in the big book. So who knows? I'm waiting to see if anybody shows up to this one. Not the best title to entice people to get here. It's not why I do it though. So, all right. Let's do it. I haven't figured out how exactly I'm going to do this yet. So welcome to the Daily Trudge. I'm Dion. I'll be your host for the random reading today. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. So this is how we're going to do it. Actually, let's take out Courage to Change and As Bill Sees It. But these are the books that we're going to choose between. It's either going to be the 12 by 12. So either the big book, the 12 by 12, Language of the Heart, or AA Comes of Age. We're going to keep the daily kind of stuff out of it. Maybe we could throw in, and we'll throw in As Bill Sees It too. But we're going to stay away from the daily stuff. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 books to choose from. And since nobody is here, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do it very randomly. Give me a random number between 1 and 5.
2.
All right. So we're going to be in the 12 by 12. Like how I'm doing this? No? Well, that's okay, because you ain't here. Only I'm here right now. So put these books back. Put the books back where they belong. All right, now we're going to go to the 12 by... Show, you've been missing the whole adventure. I even randomly picked a book. So the 12 by 12, how many pages does it have in it? 187. So now we're going to go here. Give me a random number between 1 and 187.
24.
24. So we are going to be on page 24 in the 12 by 12, which is the very last page of step 1. So we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to go back to page 21. We're just going to go ahead and do the whole, we're going to go ahead and do the whole chapter. All right. There we go. Okay. Was it random? No. Okay. God. Gad. You know, it's all about Gad. Right. So step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. There's 2 parts. Okay. And I'm going to tell you now, we're going to go through this. And once we're done, if you have not completed step 1, then you have now. This is exactly how I would sponsor. We'll do it that way. All right. Not quite, but I'll do the best that I can. So number 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. You powerless over alcohol? Well, yeah. Okay, there we go. Is your life unmanageable? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. That's the part I'm kind of curious about, you know. All right, well, why did you want to quit drinking? What's going on? Well, blah, 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 blah. This is going on, and that's going on, and this is a mess, and oh, so it kind of seems like life's unmanageable for you. Okay, yeah, I guess it is. All right. You're done with step 1. Literally, you are. Let's get into it a little bit more. All right. Who cares to admit complete defeat? Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. It is truly awful to admit that while glass in hand, we have warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. Providence being a higher power. All right. No other kind of bankruptcy is like this one. Alcohol, now become the rapiest creditor, bleeds us of all self-sufficiency and all its will to resist its demands. Once this stark fact is accepted, our bankruptcy as going human concerns is complete. Except we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. There's an admittance. But before that can happen, you must accept it. What are the 2 things that need to happen before you are going to admit that you're an alcoholic, or that maybe not that you're an alcoholic, but that you're powerless over alcohol? Right? So that you're powerless over alcohol. Well, the first thing that needs to happen is some more awareness, and then you need to accept it before you can admit it. Awareness and acceptance are kind of the watchwords in step 1. Okay. They require no action. You just have to accept the fact that you have a mental illness. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But upon entering AA, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation. We perceive that only through utter defeat are we able to take our first towards liberation and strength. Our admissions of personal powerlessness finally turn out to be the firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. So step 1 is the first part of it. It's like building a house, right? And step 1 is the beginning of your foundation. Step 1 is the only step you need to do 100%. But did you listen to the beginning? The 100% wasn't that much compared to everything else going on, was it? I didn't say it was easy, but it is simple. And it's got to remain simple. It cannot be anything short of that. All right. So this absolute humiliation, the humiliation of our escapades while drinking, that's what we're talking about. Waking up in the morning, checking your phone to see who you contacted. Maybe you know, when we didn't have that other stuff, it was a lot harder to figure out what you had done the night before, just so you know. If you called somebody on your home phone or whatever, the best you could do is hit redial and see who it called. That's about the extent of it. Nowadays, you're kind of fortunate to know that the bullshit that you pulled the night before. And a lot of these people are not going to call you out on it either. They're just not going to talk to you about it because they don't want to put up with your bullshit. And you can't blame them, right? But it is the first paradox of the program that we will find no enduring strength until we give up, until we let go, until we admit that we are powerless over what we were trying to do. Now, it says we're powerless over alcohol. Doesn't mean I'm powerless over everything. I used to run around and tell people, oh, I'd die for my kids. I'd die for my kids. And then somebody said, Dion, you're an alcoholic. You are dying for your kids. But the question is, would you get well? Would you get well for them? Didn't use that fucking line again. Didn't use that line again. They were right. They were right. I wasn't ready to see it either. I don't remember what I rebutted to that. Probably nothing. What is there to say? No, I'm not. Which would have been the only honest answer at the time, really. Thankfully, that changed. We know that little good can come to any alcoholic who joins AA unless he has first accepted his devastating weakness and all of its consequences. It's a hard one. I know for men it's pretty hard to do. I'm sure it's just as hard for women too. Yeah. This is a place where we're all equal. Right? Until he so humbles himself, his sobriety, if any, will be precarious. Of real happiness, he will find none at all. Proved beyond doubt by an immense experience, this is one of the facts of AA life, that we shall find no enduring strength until we first admit complete defeat is the main taproot from which our whole society is sprung and flowered. What was the very first honest thing I said in an AA meeting? I don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't have the answers anymore. To an alcoholic, that is freedom. It's freedom. It's enduring strength. Enduring strength is a strength that can last for a very long time. Enduring is not easy. It means that we're going to start facing these problems instead of drowning them in alcohol. Sorry, I just caught something that my therapist said. Wow, she gave me a really big compliment. Okay. I was talking to my therapist. I'm looking at, see, I come up with all these ideas and stuff, right? You guys all know I have an idea a minute. And my therapist definitely knows because I bounce everything out. But I never seem to get over that first hump, that first hurdle. And that's kind of what we were talking about today. And I think we're back to recovery homes because there's very good reasons for it. But it's getting over that first hump. And she was saying that she's known me for years now. And she said, Dion, she pretty much said, Dion, if I know anybody that can do it, it's you. I do know that. But you're going to have to buckle down. You're going to have to do some things that are going to be uncomfortable for you and kind of scary. But that's okay. I think you can do it. So, cool. Thanks, Megan. All right. When first challenged to admit defeat, most of us revolted. At some of these, we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way. You can't. With all the innocence at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough. Right? Then we'd approach AA expecting to be taught self-confidence. Then we have been told that so far alcohol is considered self-confidence was no good, whatever. In fact, it was a total liability. Why is that? Why is that? because we alcoholics are extremists, and self-confidence for an alcoholic is being cocky, getting too big for your britches, having a big head. It leads to egotism for us. What we need is self-esteem, not self-confidence. We need courage. Courage comes with confidence. It's the added benefit to self-esteem. So I would say work on your self-esteem, not your self-confidence, because your confidence, you'll have them, because self-esteem is also going to come with humility. Self-confidence in itself does not come with any humility. And since it does not, then there's nothing for me to gauge how much I'm standing on my soapbox or riding around on my high horse. So our sponsors declared that we are victims of a mental obsession so subtly powerful that no amount of human will could break it. There was, they said, no such thing as personal conquest of this compulsion by the unaided will. I've been around this program a long time. I have not met anybody that has successfully completed the program on their own. I've not met one. It doesn't work. Now, you were taught that. You were taught that. It was already kind of ingrained in us, but then we were taught that. Okay? And what is this? This is where our satisfactions collide with our instincts. Yep. Be like the Hulk going smack as hard as he can and just creating this wave. Well, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to create this wave. And that wave is going to go outward and it's going to affect other people. You've heard me say this a lot. We alcoholics are extraordinary people. What we do seems to have a bigger effect than non-alcoholics. I don't know why it is, but in my experience, it seems to work that way. All right. So, relentlessly deepening our dilemma, our sponsors pointed out our increasing sensitivity to alcohol, an allergy, they called it. The tyrant alcohol wielded a double-edged sword over us. First, we were smitten by an insane urge that condemned us to go on drinking, and then by an allergy of the body that ensured we would ultimately destroy ourselves in the process. Few indeed were those who so assailed had ever won through single-handed combat. It was a statistical fact that alcoholics almost never recovered on their own resources, and this had been true apparently ever since man had first crushed grapes. Now, you might have some people, well, I stayed away from alcohol for 20 years, and I'm doing great, blah, 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 fucking, blah, 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 blah. I'm dry drunk. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about living a joyful life, being a working member of society again, to contributing. You don't need alcohol in you in order to cause more confusion than harmony. You don't need it. They're being nice here. Few indeed were those so assailed had ever won through single combat. None. I've not met a one. Maybe they did, but I haven't met anybody like that. I know people with different types of recovery. Not all of them involve God, but I have noticed that the ones that do involve God seem to have some more happiness, more humility in their lives. They're able to deal with their problems a little bit better than the person that did not. Not saying that that person isn't living a happy, joyous, free life. They are doing some right things. But I can tell you what it is that's doing it for them. It's a higher power, whether they notice it or not. I still see God working in their lives. I just don't point it out to them because they don't want to hear it. They'll take that all on their, well, I did that. Oh, okay. All right. If that's what they want to believe, I'm going to let them. But sooner or later, they're going to say something. They're going to say something like fate did that, or, you know, okay, if you're atheist or agnostic, you don't get to use the word karma. Karma is bigger than you. You don't get to use words like fate, love, Bigger than you. Sooner or later, they're going to say that for me. I'll be like, you know, that's bigger than you. You sure you don't believe in something? It's got to be something. You can't believe in nothing. It's got to be something. You seem to have a lot of faith in yourself. You have faith that there's electricity running through your house. You don't understand that. You have faith that your internet's going to work when you walk into your work in the morning. You don't know how it works, but you have faith in it. And it's bigger than you. Okay. Anyway, in AA's pioneering time, none but the most desperate cases could swallow and digest this unpalatable truth. I'm just going to make a little joke here. Well, when Bill wrote the steps like he did, no wonder if you caught my earlier one, right? Right? Probably because Bill was kind of an ass. Right? A little demanding. All right. Even these last gaspers often had difficulty in realizing how hopeless they actually were. But a few did. And when these laid hold of the AA principles with all the fervor with which the drowning seized life preservers, they almost invariably got well. That is why the first edition of the book, Alcoholics Anonymous, published when our membership was small, dealt with low bottom cases only. Many less desperate alcoholics tried AA, but did not succeed because they could not make the admission of hopelessness. Now we're going to talk about bottom. Rock bottom doesn't exist. I am so tired of seeing people, well, you know, I hit rock bottom. It's like, dude, I was living on fucking Skid Row at 17. You don't know a rock bottom yet. Okay, I don't want to fucking hear it. When I quit drinking this time, if I didn't put alcohol in my body when I woke up in the morning, it would have killed me. Do not talk to me about fucking rock bottom. There's even podcasts called Rock Bottom. Now, you're denoting something. I do not get to determine your bottom. If you've had enough, you've had enough. Period. I don't care about the reason why you quit drinking. I already know why. Because you figured out that you were hurting everybody in your life. That's why you quit drinking. That's why 99% of us quit drinking. I've worked with a lot of people, and I know how to get down to causes and conditions. Okay? So rock bottom does not exist. I'm going to tell you what does exist. One trap door after another until you asphyxiate on your vomit. How about that? How about that? That's rock bottom. Death is rock bottom. That is the fact. Quit saying rock bottom. I hang out with nobody in the grassroots ever says rock bottom. Because they all listen. Because Tion gets all mad. I'm not mad. I'm passionate about this. Because misinformation in recovery has the power to fucking kill. And people want to be terminally unique. Well, I don't rock bottom. Dude, you're living in a goddamn mansion. Talk to me about fucking rock bottom. Right? So, what'd they do? It is a tremendous satisfaction to record in the following years this changed. Alcoholics who still had their health, their families, their jobs, and even 2 cars in the garage began to recognize their alcoholism. Fucking awesome. Right? As this trend grew, they were joined by young people who were scarcely more than potential alcoholics. I don't agree with that. You're either alcoholic or you're not. There's no potential. But there again, here they're being nice because we're alcoholics and we are sensitive fucks. Okay? So they began to recognize their so potential alcoholics. And I was living on Skid Row at 17 because of alcohol. Do you think that made me a potential alcoholic? Do you think there was still potential there to become an alcoholic? Come on. Rock bottom is just the same as I'm tired of being sick and I'm tired of being sick and tired. I can see why you say that, and I'm just going to agree with you, but I'm going to tell you I don't. I don't think it's the same. No. Rock bottom's for me anyway. And it's going to be hard to change my mind on this. Rock bottom means that you have to be so mangled up before you, okay? It denotes a qualification to quit drinking. And we cannot do that. That's the way I see it. Now, just because I don't agree doesn't mean that you are not right. Okay? We always got to qualify that here. Okay? All right. So what you're saying isn't wrong. All right. They were spared that last 10, 15 years of literal hell the rest of us had gone through. Since step one requires an admission that our lives become unmanageable, how could such people as these take this step? How is it? See, the AA program works one way. We meet others where they are at. Now I'm going to ask a question. Is anybody here willing to be a sponsor? Is that meeting people where they are at? Because I don't think it is. Who here is looking for a sponsor? You are? Okay, now I'm going to meet you where you're at. All right. Both ways seem to work. Why we would switch it, I have no idea. But clearly AA saw a different way. And I also can't argue with 2 million alcoholics because maybe they understand something that I don't yet. I doubt it, though. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I know this program very, very well. Right? So it was obviously necessary to raise the bottom the rest of us had hit to the point where it would hit them. There it is. We meet people where they are at. It can't work any other way. If I ask that person to meet me where I'm at, that's going to be impossible. They're not going to be able to do that. They don't have the time under their belt. They don't have the knowledge, and they haven't done the work yet. So that's not going to be possible. You're not going to just turn around and have 9 years of sobriety. Besides, you don't want mine. I got 5 mental illnesses, man. You don't want mine anyway. All right. So by going back in our drinking histories, we could show that years before we realized that we were out of control, that our drinking even then was no mere habit, that it was indeed the beginning of a fatal progression. To the doubters, we could say, perhaps you're not an alcoholic after all. Why don't you try some more controlled drinking, bearing in mind, meanwhile, that what we have told you about alcoholism? This attitude brought immediate and practical results. It was then discovered that when one alcoholic had planted in the mind of another the true nature of his malady, that person could never be the same again. On my Facebook, it gives the bio. Mine says, I ruined drinking careers. I ruined drinking careers. You give me 20 minutes, your drinking's not going to be the same. I'll ruin it. Unless you ignore everything that I say, then it'll have no effect. Yeah. You can do that too. Now I'm not bent on, I'm going to ruin their drinking career. Look at me. Look how awesome I am. No. I'm going to ruin the drinking career, but that doesn't mean I want to piss the person off. No. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to plant a seed. That way, when that person is ready, they know where to go. Sometimes I do piss them off, but not on purpose. And sometimes you'll piss somebody off that you're trying to work with. You know, it's okay. All right. I've had people send me text messages saying, fuck you, Dion, and fuck your program. I'm like, but it's not my program. It's your program too. What does that mean? It means that they're at the bar and they're not going to be able to drink like they used to because of the information that I gave them. That's why they're mad at me. They're not mad at me for any other reason. So, but I'd rather it not go that route. Following every spree, he would say to himself, maybe those AAs were right. After a few such experiences, often years before the onset of extreme difficulties, he would return to us, convinced he had hit bottom as truly as any of us. John Barleycorn himself had become our best advocate. John Barleycorn is alcohol, for those of you that do not everybody knows, so I always like to tell people. It's kind of like in the big book. There's one mistake a lot of people make. Not everybody makes it. It's actually in Bill's story. On page 4, abruptly in October 1929, hell broke loose on New York Stock Exchange. After one of those days of inferno, I wobbled from the hotel bar to the brokerage office. It was 8 o'clock. 5 hours after the market closed, the ticker still clattered. I was staring at an inch of tape which bore the inscription XYZ 32. It had been 52 that morning. Now, that they put that dash in there, people think it's a dash, but it's not. It's a minus sign. It's XYZ negative 32. That means you owe. It means you owe. So they went from being rich to extremely in debt. That's why they jumped off buildings. See, there's a lot of little mistakes that are kind of made. So I like to. All right. Anyway, so why all this insistence that every AA must hit bottom first? The answer is that few people will sincerely try to practice the AA program unless they have hit bottom. Your bottom. Not a bottom determined by anybody else in this world. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been drinking. I don't care where you came from. I don't care your job description. I don't care your gender, your ethnicity. I don't care about any of that. If you're willing to do the program, I'm going to help you. Just plain and simple. I'm not even trying to determine your willingness. Your actions will show me that. I can tell you this, if I based how I sponsored the way some other people sponsored, none of my people would have ever got through the 4-step. They always dilly-dally around on it. It isn't until we get to the point where I say, if you don't get to work on it, I got to fire you. You're not going to give me a choice. I'm not going to sit here week after week doing this if you're not going to do your 4-step. It almost always comes to that. And then you know what they do? They finish their 4-step. Happens almost all the time. Alcoholics are just that way. I almost expect it. And something always happens the next week. It's usually, I give them the grudge list, give them the assignment, okay, 15 to 20 minutes a day. Well, in 2 weeks, that's like 4 hours. If you ain't done with your grudge list, then you ain't doing it. And when you finish a list, you're supposed to contact me. But see, they don't have the rhythm yet. They don't have this, yeah. And I know that the alcoholic's mind is just trying to make up excuses. So I give some levity there. But some people I hear, man, like, if they don't do it, I just fire. Who the fuck are you to fire anybody? I hate to say that, but who the fuck are you to fire really any? Who the fuck am I? Fire somebody. What you're gonna have to find somebody else to work with is probably more, but Firing means that I'm a boss. I have the power to fire somebody. And even then, maybe I'm wrong on that, right? So the answer is that few people will sincerely try to practice the AA program unless they hit bottom. For practicing AA's remaining 11 steps means the adoption of attitudes and actions that almost no alcoholic who is still drinking can dream of taking. Who wishes to be rigorously honest and tolerant, who wants to confess his faults to another and make restitution for harm done, who cares anything about a higher power, let alone meditation and prayer, who wants to sacrifice time and energy and try to carry AA's message to the next sufferer. No. The average alcoholic, self-centered in the extreme, doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do these things in order to stay alive himself. I don't agree with that last line. I wanted me dead. I wanted me dead. I came back into the program because of my wife and kids. If it would have been, if the choice was go to AA or die, I would have died. That was the choice I would have made. I moved to California to kill myself by drinking. So this isn't always true. Now, it might be for you, and awesome if it is, man. Awesome, good. I think that's fantastic. But for those people that don't quite feel that way, I want you to know you're not alone. Okay? And you can get sober for any reason that you want. Any reason. We got to quit walking around, running around saying, well, you got to get sober for yourself. No, you do recovery for yourself. That part is true. But there's a big difference between sobriety and recovery. Sobriety is the first step to recovery. And it is step one. But we've got to get rid of the hooch first. Excuse me. Under the lash of alcoholism, we are driven to AA, and there we discover the fatal nature of our situation. Then, and only then, do we become as open-minded to conviction and as willing to listen as the dying can be. We stand ready to do anything which will lift this merciful obsession from us. Right? Willingness to go to any lengths. Which, after I finished step one, was the question that my sponsor asked me. As soon as we were done with the third step prayer, he asked me again, Dion, are you now willing to go to any length to do this program? My answer was yes. We got started on the fourth step. So, all right. Well, Michelle, thanks for coming and hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's listening or has listened or is listening later. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.